Well, hello everyone, George Rambling Man here. Hope everybody's doing well. It's a beautiful Thursday afternoon here in North Georgia. 75 degrees, a few puffy clouds, and I'm enjoying my retirement because it is a Thursday and I am not sitting in an office. I'm not sitting on an airplane, I'm not walking some distant construction site in some other state. I am riding my motorcycle, and that's one of the big things I was looking forward to in retirement, and it is more than I could hope for. So if you're getting close to retirement, don't delay. I highly recommend it. Still enjoying the new BMW F750 GS that I've had a couple of months. The weather's finally turned nice and I've been able to get out on it. And I've had a few people ask me some questions, both on YouTube and just in person, when they found out I had this new bike. It's like, wow, I had no idea you were thinking about a new bike, and why did you buy it? And more importantly than that, why did you sell your Harley-Davidson? So I thought I'd address that a little bit today and just kind of give you my thoughts on it. If you're going through the same situation that I went with, trying to make a decision about the type of motorcycle you want to ride, maybe this will help you. I don't know. But first of all, let me tell you why I bought this bike. I've been looking at these adventure bikes for about a year. You know, they're becoming more and more popular, and I watched a ton of YouTube videos of people riding these bikes, and this adventure style bike appeals to me for a number of reasons. Number one, it's a type of motorcycle I've never owned before, and like I've said before, the horizon for me riding is not, doesn't stretch on forever, and if I was going to try something new, I better just go ahead and do it. And so, the thought of having a bike I've never owned before and riding something different, that appealed to me. And so as I started looking around and started test riding them, I test rode some smaller ones first. The Kawasaki Versus 650, the Tiger 660. I made some vlogs on those last year, and I just really enjoyed it. And after riding those bikes, I said, wow, this style of bike is really something I'm looking into. And at first I thought I would just get a small one like the Tiger 660 or Versus 650, maybe the V-Strom, maybe the Honda CBX 500, I don't know. I was looking for maybe a second bike and keeping my Harley. But as I rode those bikes, they were small, they were super fun to ride, maneuverable, light. I thoroughly loved them. Of course, I tend to love most motorcycles. But they were a little bit small. Kind of the same, I had the same feeling about that I had on the Harley-Davidson Nightster Special I rode last year. It was a great little bike, but just kind of small for me. And the Tiger and the 660 and the Kawasaki did not have the cruise control and some of the options I wanted, so I kind of ruled those out. And I started looking at more mid-sized adventure bikes. I really didn't want to go too big, because that kind of gets into another reason I was looking to make a change anyway. Like I said, I'm retired. I'm 67 years old, be 68 this summer. And as you get older, you can't fight Father Time, and your reflexes are not as sharp, your strength is not as much as it was in your younger days, and handling big heavy motorcycles was just something I was thinking about I shouldn't be doing anymore. That's not to say that I'm telling you that you're in the same position I'm in or feel the same way I do. This is just my feelings. There's plenty of older guys who ride big touring motorcycles, that's for sure, and so if that's what you want, that's great. But for me, I was thinking it was time to downsize, and there's a lot of good videos out on YouTube. I mentioned before Craig Ripley's living off the slab's got a good video about getting older and maybe downsizing, and I wanted something lighter, easier to maneuver around my garage, just easier to ride. So I started looking at these adventure bikes, and as I started looking at the mid-size bikes, I looked at the Tiger 900, this BMW F750, and that's pretty much it. I didn't really consider many others. I mean, Kawasaki's got a 1000, I know V-Strom's got a 1000, but I didn't really consider those. I was just really looking at the Triumph and the BMW, and the BMW dealer where I live had a demo day last fall, and I went and rode this bike, and after about 20 minutes on this bike, I realized I loved it. You never truly know if a bike's going to be good for you until you have it for a long time and ride it for a long time. But I just knew after test riding the bike on that demo day that I liked this bike, and I said, well, but I want to test ride the Tiger 900, and I did not get a chance to test ride the Tiger 900. I wish I would have. I just liked this BMW so much and everything that went with it, I just decided to buy it. Went back to the dealer in Atlanta where I'd been to the demo days, and they had sold it. And 2024s were coming out in the spring, but this was December, January, and he didn't have any 2023s left. And I really like this 23 model. It's the light white color. It's got some black and red trim to it, and I've had black bikes now for like the last 12 years, and I really like the way this bike looks. It took a while for these adventure bike styles to grow on me, but I really like the styling of this bike. So I started looking around. I found this one in Greenville, South Carolina at D2 Power Sports, and went up on a Saturday and bought it. And I couldn't be happier with my decision so far. And I'm just closing in on the 600-mile first service, but so far so good. Just for your information, I'm on Georgia Highway 136. I'm kind of near Carter's Lake and Dam, and this is a pretty nice road. I'm headed east, back towards home. There's some nice curves coming up here. Like I was saying, I'm happy with the purchase. It's lighter, it's more maneuverable. And saying all that does not mean that I did not like my Harley-Davidson. If you think I'm going to bash Harley-Davidson here, my Heritage, you're wrong, because I love that motorcycle. I had it for a little over 3 years. Took a lot of great trips on it. Very comfortable bike. I upgraded it with lots of nice features, and I loved it. So I've nothing but good things to say about my Heritage. It was just time for me to move on to something different. It was getting a little bit heavy for me, and I felt like if I did drop that bike someplace for whatever reason, slow speed maneuver or whatever, I'd have a hard time picking it up. And I decided that it was just time for me to change, and so this BMW 750 fit the bill there. Now, one of the things that's different about this bike, other than just the looks and the size of the engine and everything else, is the seating position is a little different. It's upright, it's comfortable, the seat height is a lot higher. Look at the standard seat, it's like 32 inches high. But for those of you that have ridden touring bikes and cruisers for a long time or your whole life, and you're hesitant about making a jump to an adventure bike like this, maybe you've been thinking about it, and you think, I don't know if I'd really like that higher seat height, and it wouldn't be so stable. Well, I want to put those fears to rest, because yeah, the seat height is a little bit higher. You do feel like you're sitting up a little bit more, but the foot position is good. You're upright, you're not hunched over like you would be on a sport bike, and the seat is comfortable. And I have nothing but good things to say about the comfort of this bike. To me, it's every bit as comfortable as the Heritage that I had, a little bit different, but suspension is good. It's got a little longer travel suspension, I think, than the Heritage, and it's just a plush, smooth ride, and I have nothing good things to say about that. So my advice to you is just go test ride one, see what you think about it. It'll take you a little while to get used to it, the seating position and everything else, but I think you'll find it's very comfortable, and I was talking with a guy at a gas station the other day. He had just bought himself a new Street Glide, and I pulled up and we were talking, and he was just retired like me, similar age, and he said, I don't know about those type of bikes. You sit up kind of high, and I'm really looking forward to doing a lot of touring, and I just don't know. And I said, well, don't worry about the comfort. The comfort's fine. Yes, you're going to have to add luggage to a bike like this to do long trips, but you know, it's fine. And let me say this about Harley-Davidson's touring bikes and their cruisers, their Heritage Softail models and their Street Glides and Road Glides. Harley knows how to make touring motorcycles. They are comfortable, and if you're riding across the country, and especially if you've got a passenger, those are wonderful motorcycles and probably the best bet for you, rather than a bike like this. Probably 90% of my riding is day trips, maybe 10% is long trips. So this one fits me perfectly, but that being said, this thing will certainly is touring capable. I'm convinced of it. I've got to upgrade my luggage a little bit. I've already upgraded the windscreen, and with everything else, this bike is certainly capable of touring. And I'm going on a 5-day trip in May with NC Stoney and some other riding buddies up in North Carolina, so I'll have a chance to give it a real check out that week, that's for sure. Another thing that attracted me to this motorcycle and adventure bikes in general is the technology and the safety features and the riding aids they have. Number one, this BMW F750 GS, and really all their GS models, have this wonderful 6.5-inch wide TFT display that you can see here, that just has all the information that you would need. Digital speedometer, big gear position indicator, and you can just scroll through all kinds of things. So technology is great. It has traction control, adjustable suspension, heated grips, cruise control, you know, different ride modes. You know, as far as safety goes and technology goes, it has got everything you need. Cornering ABS, and that was a big factor in me making the change. My Harley-Davidson had ABS brakes, and as far as, you know, safety features, that was about it. Great motorcycle, but didn't have all the features this has. Harley's catching up with that, though. They put out their rider defensive system, RDRS, a few years ago. They've got traction control. They just upgraded their displays on their touring bikes this year with the 2024 Street Glides and Road Glides to the TFT screens. And you know, Harley's getting there. They're a good company, and they understand the competition, I think, and they want to advance the technology and safety in their motorcycles just like anybody else would. So I think they're doing a good job. I think these new touring bikes are going to sell great for Harley-Davidson, and they really need to move the TFT displays and all that down into their smaller bikes and their Softail models, if you ask me. But like I say, as I get older, you know, safety is a big concern to me. I mean, you look at the amount of traffic deaths on motorcycles the past few years. They've been going up, and you know, I always thought to myself, it's just a bunch of hooligan kids on sport bikes going 120 miles an hour and, you know, not knowing what they're doing. And you know, they certainly have their share of accidents, but for the most part, a good majority of the motorcycle deaths are older riders. And you know, there's all kinds of factors, I'm sure, that factor into that. You know, alcohol and drugs probably being one, and lots of other factors. But you know, having a motorcycle with just the most up-to-date technology and safety features was important to me. So I saw this motorcycle, I rode it, I loved it, I bought it, and I'm very happy with it. It was a tough day when I told my wife I was going to sell my Harley, but she was on board with that, and I was able to sell my Harley for more than I paid for this. And that's another great feature about these adventure bikes. I mean, you can get them at $9,000 or $10,000 for the smaller models, $30,000 13, 14, 15,000 for, you know, these mid-size models. And you know, if you want to buy the BMW R1300 GS or, you know, Kawasaki versus 1000, I mean, you can spend 20,000 or more on those type of bikes if you want. But this mid-size 853cc motor kind of hit a sweet spot for me. And you know, price-wise, like I said, I was able to buy it for less money and sold my Harley. So financially, it was a good decision for me. And I just didn't think it was good to have two bikes. I know I wouldn't ride the Harley very much if I had this bike, and it would just be sitting in my garage. And I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want to pay for taxes and insurance and that type of thing. So I sold it. It was a sad day to let it go. I love Harley-Davidson. I may have one in the future. Who knows? But that's kind of in a nutshell, you know, the decision-making process I went through. If you're an older rider and you've got a big, heavy motorcycle, I'm sure you've probably thought about maybe downsizing. You know, maybe not. I'm not telling you what you have to do. You make up your own mind, and like Harley Day Rider says, you know, ride your own ride. And I believe in that. But if you're seriously thinking about downsizing your motorcycle, a bike like this, I think, is a great choice. Go test ride one, see what you think. I think you'll be pleased. I know that I am, and I'm looking forward to many happy miles on this motorcycle. All right, folks, that's it for me. Enjoying this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Headed for the Caribbean next week for a week-long cruise with my wife. Life is good. So long, everybody.